What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. In this video, we're going to be teaching you all the game modes, starting from the cube, probably the easiest, yet some people can make it the hardest game mode, all the way to the newest and the most confusing game mode, the swing card. Let's go! So let's start with the cube. The cube is a really easy game mode. You click, you jump. If you've played the game, you've probably seen it in Stereo Madness. And then here is a triple spike. What you may think is the hardest thing to do in the game, but no. If I can squeeze this in a bit. This is one of the hardest things to do in the game. It's a quadruple spike, except it's like tightened in to make it like a frame perfect timing. It's incredibly hard. And anyway, moving on from the cube, we have the second ever game mode, the ship. So the ship is basically just you hold, you go up, you stop holding, you go down. What's the hardest thing to do with the ship, you may ask? What we're gonna call this is what many pros call it, straight fly. When you have to fly straight, and Zoink, the best player in the game, takes it a step further by taking these spikes just give me a second. Work, damn it! You take these spikes, edit group to group 1, add, then copy and paste it a bunch of times. Now you may be wondering, what are we gonna do with this? We're going to take something special called an alpha trigger. We're going to put fade time at 0, group 1, opacity 0, and then watch. Anything tied to group 1 will become invisible, meaning the hitboxes look like this, but you see them as looking like this. Just a little square in the middle. I did this to make one of the hardest straight flies ever done by player kind. Next, we've got the ball game mode, and this one can get a bit tricky. So let's delete all this, and we'll teach you the ball game mode. So the ball game mode is essentially just a ball that switches gravity. Then, as shown by if you do this, you can jump with the ball if you follow these exact steps. See that? You can jump with the ball. How to do it? First, be a ball. You can't be any other game mode. Doesn't work. Well, spider's a different story, but either way, I'll talk about the spider later, not now. And then put a spike, leave one block of space, put a blue gravity portal, and boom, done. Now, here's the hardest thing to do with the ball. First, we're going to need dual mode, not two-player mode, dual mode. See? Dual mode. And what we're going to do with the dual mode is we're simply going to make what we're later gonna call a swing copter. What they used to use as a swing copter back then, before update 2.2, we're going to make it. Then, remember, just put a few blocks and then you've got swing copter. Now let's make some gameplay with swing copter. So we're going to put a pillar. Then we're going to stretch it out into and make a few other pillars. This was probably what confused me the most when I watched Zoink verify tidal wave, I believe. Yeah. Nah, not hard enough. Let's see what happens if we check, guys. We're gonna put a spike here. Now, it's super hard. Almost made it there. Almost made it. Close. This is taking so long. What happens if we just... We did it! Guys, we did it! We did it, guys. We actually made the click. Well, that's the hardest thing to do with the ball. So, let's move on to the next game mode. Let's go. So the next game mode is the UFO, one of the most raged on game mode. You click, you go up, you spam, you stay up. Then, and we have a few levels where UFO is probably the hardest it can get. Here's one. I don't know which is the hardest thing you can do with a UFO, but to me it's that click. Like, it's so generally hard that I don't even think it's possible. Right now, I am generally trying to beat it, and it is so damn hard. So, as far as I'm concerned, that's the hardest jump in the UFO. There's not much you need to know about the UFO. Let's just head on to the next game mode. what is believed to be the most fun game mode, the wave. Everybody loves the wave for some odd reason, and I have no idea why, but here it is, the wave. I personally prefer straight fly, but okay. Let's start with the wave. The wave is a simple game mode where you basically click. It's it's basically like the custom swing game mode we made with the ball, except it's like diagonal. It's basically that, but diagonal. And you don't need to be in dual mode to play it. So let's make some gameplay for the wave that I think would be the hardest. So first of all, for me, the hardest thing to do with wave is, of course, flip gravity. So your wave goes upside down. So now we're going to make a few frame perfect gaps like this. To make wave gameplay, you just need some slopes, and you can't really go wrong. It depends on how you place the slopes. That can go terribly wrong. Okay? As the slopes are being placed, this is some general wave gameplay. Okay? Okay, let's... Okay. Let's do this again. Okay. That is a gap that can definitely be made harder, can't it? So this is one of the hardest things I know that wave can do. The hardest thing is the hardest spam, but I'll show you guys that later. Next game mode is probably one of my favorite game modes, the robot. I mean, who doesn't love the robot? The robot is a very fun game mode. It's like the cube, except when you hold, you don't just continue going, you go higher. The hardest jump you can do with it is, if you've ever watched Stereo Extremeness, you know this jump. I struggle to believe how this is possible, but the most I can do is 6, bro. So that is probably the hardest thing you can do. Even though I can't do it, that's the robot done. Next game mode, we're off to the newer game modes. Starting with the spider game mode. This is basically a timings game mode where the hardest thing to do is to go in mini mode. What's mini? Okay, so another one, mini. This is the hardest jump. It's a real hard one. Mostly because it's a frame perfect. And I personally didn't think I was good at frame perfects until then, but what a shock. Now I am. That is probably the hardest jump you can do. Now, here comes the most confusing game mode. By the way, if you didn't know you change gravity when you use the spider, then now you do. Okay. Now we go on to the most confusing game mode. I forgot to turn off mini. Why do I always do this to myself? The swing copter. The swing copter is a really fun. Is just basically what we did with the ball. The ball duels, except you don't need duel now. Thanks to Rob Top, you don't need duel anymore. So you can do a few frame perfects with it, like now we come here where the frame perfects begin. Like, we just need to copy that and then make it frame perfect, and then I think that's the hardest thing you can do. And unless I'm wrong. I don't know how to hit this click, bro. I mean, oh, I see how to hit this click. It's probably one of the hardest things you can do. But yeah, that was every single game mode, from the easiest, the cube, to the most confusing, swing copter. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.